Impressionism. Impressionism was an attempt to depict what was seen at a given moment, to give a fresh, original vision. Impressionist artists believed that it was time to discard rules of the past and paint what they saw through their own eyes, or in other words, through their own sensations. Often these impressionists painted outside so they could capture nature and changes in light. There are several characteristics of Impressionism. One is the broken brush strokes of bright colors that created an appearance of spontaneity. These brush strokes created textured surfaces. They never used black or earth tones. Typically, Impressionists painted simple compositions of individual people, of landscapes. They omitted detail to create an overall impression, a fleeting moment in time. Their compositions were usually loose and inexact. In their landscapes, their informal portraits and domestic scenes, you have a loose and inexact composition. In fact, many critics claimed that their works looked unfinished. They always strove for realism, but it was realism in perception, in what they saw as individuals, not in realism in form, as we've seen with past artists. To fully understand Impressionism, let's go back to one of its forerunners, a man named Claude Monet. Claude Monet in 1863 painted this work called Luncheon on the Grass. Several things are going on in this painting that were very innovative and led to the Impressionist movement. You have a female nude among clothed men. Nudes were acceptable in allegorical or historical paintings, but not in scenes of everyday life. So you see Monet throwing down traditional forms, traditional ideas, the rules of the past, so to speak, he was discarding. Stylistically here, Monet is much less interested in telling what characters are doing than showing how he perceives them and their surroundings. So again, you get that sense of discarding the past and painting what they actually saw. Monet became a hero for the budding new art movement, and later we'll look at a painting where he is actually imitating the Impressionists that he inspired. Claude Monet is perhaps the best known Impressionist painter. In 1874, a group of painters decided to exhibit their work at a cafe in Paris because there was no other place for them to show their paintings. They had been rejected by the Salon because of their radical works. This painting, called Impression Sunrise, gave the derogatory nickname to the whole group. But it revolutionized art, and in a few years these artists were focusing on realism of light and color rather than realism of form. And back to Monet, we see his attempt at Impressionism in this particular painting. You have this reflection of the woman, a general impression of the bar patrons in the background. You know there are people there, but you can only see their heads and outlines of their faces. This all became very impressionistic. What you might see at a glance, what the artist might glance at and then paint. So clearly something drastically had occurred. Monet's water lilies are often reproduced today, and again you can see that he was capturing a fleeting moment in time, what he saw when he looked at the pond with the water lilies in them. Another Impressionist was Auguste Renoir. And Renoir, in his paintings, particularly this one, you see the same foregrounding and backgrounding techniques of Monet, where the people in the foreground are more distinct than those in the background, where you just have an impression of them being there. Renoir was very optimistic. He painted happy activity. He wanted to capture the beauty of the world. He often painted women, and he believed that they were the source of life and celebrated them as such. Like other Impressionists, Edward Degas was interested in people, but he didn't necessarily stress the good and the happy. Degas just recorded what he saw. Some of the moments are incredibly intimate, like this one here, and through it he drives home the universality of existence. In other words, everybody takes a bath. So let's paint it. Let's show the world ordinary people through our own eyes, the artist might have said. The Impressionists indeed took the art world by storm. So of course there was reaction, which we call post-impressionism, and we'll learn about that next.